Hey, this is DJ Straight. Whoa, y'all, I'm dressed up today. Coming to you live. You tell I know what I'm doing. Coming to you live. Oops, that's still not right. Coming to you live from Praise from the Closet. So look at here. Go ahead and um hit share if you're on Facebook, and then hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'm going to get this right because I practice with this hat and I'm going to get it right. And I'm going to tell you why I am dressed up today. It's a little crooked. Yeah, I think that might be better. So anyway, this is a wonderful day. I heard that wind blowing. And as always, this is DJ Straight coming to you live from Praise from the Closet. Go ahead and look at our website, WGMLB.com, where you can hear wonderful music all day long. Playing right now is Anthony Evans, No Condemnation. And stay tuned until the end because I have the whole list of some great shows that we have coming up on this week and even next week. But again, I'm going to tell you why I'm dressed up. Because my guest today, and I don't normally, let me say this, I don't normally do a lot of preparation. I talk to the guest and, kind of know which questions I'm going to ask. But I don't know which questions I'm going to ask really until the day of the interview. But for this particular guest, I had a short bio and I studied that thing. I thought I was taking a test. But it was so interesting. And I'm going to put our guest on the spot at the end because really, I want to share this bio with you all. I want to be able to share it because it was so well put together. It was such an inspiration, and I think it could encourage and inspire other people as far as really maybe not knowing what you want to do, but as you pray, yes, as you pray, as a young child, as an older person, as you pray and incorporate God into your whole life, He will give you the answers. And that's why I really like this bio that I read. I'm going to read a short intro and then I'm going to bring our guest on. This is the story. No, I'm not getting ready to do the Fresh Prince about how my life got turned upside down. Absolutely not. Okay. And so here it is. This is the story of the role of God's holy word in the life of one of his children. It is an attempt to go back nearly 70 years, which in many cases necessarily entails blowing off settled dust and wading through cobwebs to reach the vestiges of forgotten memories that have been quietly tucked away. While each selected passage has its own historical and spiritual context, one must also bear in mind that Scripture has practical application and is profitable for equipping us for every good work. This work consists of only glimpses. One overcast Sunday morning, a light drizzled over the Gallagher Municipal Hospital, later renamed the district, and I'm smiling because I lost my guess, later renamed the District of Columbia Hospital, located in Southeast Washington, D.C., ushered in the birth of yet another little black child, brown skinish, born into poverty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing on our guest, and I'm going to try to keep this head on. I'm bringing on our guest, not other, drum roll, you all know I'm a drummer, and y'all might say, Lynn, stop. DJ Straight, stop being so silly. But listen here, this is a great honor to introduce, to the screen, Vivian Saulters, all the way from, let's see what hospital, Gallinger Municipal Hospital, later renamed District of Columbia General Hospital. How are you today? And thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Listen, I really enjoyed reading your bio that you sent me, and it was a brief version. As you said, it was an attempt to capture. Now, I am already getting comments on, so if you don't mind, I will show some comments. Here we, oh my gracious. I can't even get started before you can see the comments. Uh-oh, here we go. This is why I wore a hat, because I was not going to be outdone. Okay, so let's get started. Where did the name BB or genius come from? Okay, go ahead. You got it.
My pastor for most of my life, who was a great inspiration, the best inspiration probably, gave me that name. He used to call me Bibby. And in fact, all of my life, he called me Bibby. And then he started to call me Genius. So both of those names came from him.
Okay, very good. And you said that one of the impressions her pastor left with her was that though she had been born in impoverished circumstances, she didn't have to remain there. Hold on, see, I got a whole box right here and there. Do I need to pull out mine? Because I can do that thing, you know. And you know, I don't like to wait, so I just might recycle mine. Okay. Hold on. Somebody said, one of your daughters said, you can't start with tears, mommy. Work your way up. Here's another comment. You look beautiful. Okay, so it says, she may have been born into the world, but she did not have to be of the world. I like this part here. What does this mean? It said two of your older sisters alternately on a weekly basis caring for you physically. They bathed you, fixed your hair, and changed your clothes. You loved it when your elder sisters weep because she always chose the prettiest outfits. So that explains why you always look great, especially during the late afternoon change. She especially recalls the ruffled pinafore dresses, which I don't know what that is, with matching socks. Additionally, that sister was not very good at braiding hair, so she usually left her baby sister in curls and bows. So, oh my gracious. Now, what did that mean? Or you said two of your sisters. How many siblings do you have? You said two of your sisters. How many siblings do you have?
I have 10 sisters and brothers. There were, well, I don't actually know.
Okay. Oh,
A
that's
bunch of us, a bunch of us.
okay. Because the reason I asked that question is because at an early age you took very great pride in what you looked like. And did
Yeah,
that carry on? That carries on to this day?
yes.
Okay. Very good. It says, although you were born in poverty, you really didn't know how poor you were because you had goals that reached beyond your physical world. And in reading your bio, and I want you to explain these statements. Two statements that really stuck out with me. You said you had preschool memories revealed by your older siblings. They gathered around the room table, and that's why I asked you how many siblings you have, completing homework assignments. You long for homework. That's very rare. And it says the little girl went from sibling to sibling asking what each one was doing. Some took the time to explain in simple language that satisfied your curiosity, and others just sent her away with homework. Let me finish. And you said, And off I would go. One day I'm going to go to school and I'll have homework too. What kind of homework did you want?
Whatever they were doing around the table, I think. I think I just wanted to go to school and learn and be able to sit at the table and do homework.
So before you started school, what type of activities did you do that would cultivate your learning?
Before I started school, I really don't remember. I we used to play games. We didn't buy a lot of games like children have today. We kind of made up our own games or played hopscotch or dodgeball, or there was a game called Queen Anna. Um, Queen Anna, Queen Anna, who sits in the sun. I have three letters. Can you name one? We kind of made up our own games. I was always active along with my, family in the church, and we
Mhm.
had programs at the church. And I know I was always participating in the programs at the church, and they would give us poems or speeches or whatever to bring home. So I guess that could be a part of it too. Um, Learning whatever it was given, I was given at church.
Cool. So you started school the next year, and I believe her name was Mrs. Johnson, was your first teacher in kindergarten. What did she mean to you?
Well, she was a wonderful, kind teacher, and of course, I was anxious to go to school and excited that I had my teacher. And I thought she was very pretty and very nice, and she taught me a lot. I liked her very, very much. She was
Wow.
very inspirational.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you said that because before I asked you that question, you said something about Queen Anna, Queen Anna, Queen Anna. Because if I recall reading in your bio, as you say, you grew up in the church and you came home with a poem that had 4 lines, and you were just bragging and excited about that poem. And your aunt told you, showed your aunt, and your aunt said, "Take that back and tell them to give you a real poem." And you went back to school and you said, "My aunt said to give me a real poem," and that did not damper your zeal. So, what did a real poem mean?
Well, I came to know that it meant a long poem. And I had to memorize it. But she didn't want me to have one of these 4-line poems that little children, would get up and say. She felt that I could do more, and she wanted them to give me something to show my talent.
Well, and actually she did, because you had, I believe it was 6 stanzas with 8 lines, or either 8 lines and 6 stanzas. And here we go again with the fashion that she bought you some matching ribbons, some lace socks, and black patent leather shoes for the program. And I'm sure you probably modeled that before you got up because you couldn't wait for your name to be called. Now, I also saw where you began to interpret earlier that you would play with your doll babies. How did you get to come to play with doll babies and started teaching them?
Yeah, right. When I would come home from school, I would line my dolls up and I would teach them whatever I taught in school. Now, because I don't know if you mentioned this, but when I would see my siblings around the table, um, and I felt like some had time for me and some didn't.
Mhm.
I knew that I wanted to go to school. And I think it was like around then that I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I may not have known it. That was probably the only thing I knew other than a carpenter. My father was a carpenter, but I didn't know anything about being a carpenter or anything about carpentry. So the idea of being a teacher first came to my mind when I was 4.
Yeah, interesting because I also read, which I thought was pretty good, that, and I'm sure your family knows you very well and those around you, that you were an interpreter because your classmates would ask questions and obviously the teacher didn't understand, and you would come to her rescue and you would interpret for her. You would say, that's not the question. What gave you that drive to want to help your teacher out from embarrassment and then help out your fellow classmates? Where did that drive come from?
Well, it wasn't a matter of helping the teacher out. It was that I understood the question and I wanted the student to get the answer to the question. Additional information was fine, but not to leave the question unanswered. And it was just in me to clarify what the question was. And then I would go on from the question to the answer and give the answer.
Which saved the day for the teacher. Okay. Because I know how we students do. She don't know nothing. But thank goodness that Vivian Smith knows it.
No, I don't think they had that impression. I think they were glad to get the question answered,
Yeah.
but I don't think it berated the teacher. And I don't think the teacher felt that way. At least she never acted as if she did.
No, she appreciated you. But then you also, when you went to the following grade, your teacher, I guess about your teacher by now, around the school knew that this genius was in their midst. And then in the next grade, your teacher assigned you as being a tutor, and you had several students that you helped. So, what was that like being a tutor at that young age to your peers?
It felt natural. I mean, it was right in line with what I wanted to do. And she didn't call me a tutor, she called me a teacher. She would
Okay.
tell me there were 3 students, and she would have me take them out into the hall for reading and math. And then I would teach them whatever the lesson was in the classroom. And it so happened that was in the 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also my 4th grade teacher. And she carried that into the 4th grade.
Okay. Well, very good. Now I'm getting ready to do something crazy. I'm gonna take this little head off because it's crooked. I'm gonna sit it right here because my next segment. Now, this is great because in your learning, in learning even as a child, and then as a young person that was helping tutor, when you got to junior high school, you went into something called a self improvement club. What was that?
Well, just like it says, it was self improvement. Now, bear in mind, I guess, that the neighborhood, my environment was not upper class or middle class, and I think I was very blessed
Mm-hmm.
at a very early age in school, et cetera, because I felt like the teachers really took an interest in you, not just academically, but as a person as well, and in terms of preparing you. And as you mentioned early, I already had it in me that I wanted to rise above my
Mm-hmm.
situation. I didn't know what that was at the time, but when you were talking about my older sisters dressing me and how I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be dressed, et cetera, et cetera. So this self improvement club was just that. It gave you tips on how you should dress, how you should walk, sit, carry yourself, um, how to be good citizens, good people. And that club, because I was in that club, um, I got to go to the home of the Kennedys.
Yes.
So Kennedy, we had tea.
Yeah, you know what? That's great. You said it because I was segueing myself into that. I call that experience of a lifetime. So it said on one such event, you got to go to the home of Robert and Ethel Kennedy. So that was major. Talk about that tea. Did you hold your finger up like this when you drank? Just talk about the tea a little bit. How did that feel?
I don't think I held my finger up, but I don't know. I really don't know. Um, I was excited because I like the Kennedy family. And, I knew the Kennedy name and I like the family. And I don't think I saw Robert there, but Ethel was there.
Oh, first name basis, huh? Okay.
No, no, not to them. I'm talking to you about them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so it was just a nice, warm, down to earth event. Also, bear in mind that in my family, we didn't make a big deal of things. I mean, I remember I remember a time not a time, many times, but I remember I had brought home a report card with straight A's. And my sister was eating some kind of a sandwich. And I asked her if I could I gave my mother the report card and she passed it around to the other siblings who were there. And I asked for a bite of my sister's sandwich. And she said, "You deserve a bite here." So she gave me a bite of her sandwich. That was the celebration, I guess, for my
Okay.
straight A's. It was something that was expected. I had a couple of aunts in particular who probably had, well, not probably, but they had a lot of faith in what we could do. And I know especially me, because I stayed with them for a while, well, with one of them for a while. And actually, I was named after her, so she probably took a special interest in me. But they were very education oriented. Not that
Mhm.
they had extensive educations, but they were okay. One was a nurse and one was a courtroom stenographer. So they appreciate education and learning, and they encouraged us.
Wow, very good. Now, in all of your education, I also noticed that you were an entrepreneur early because in going to the society or the Get Ready Club, I can't even remember the name now, you sold chocolate candy for the debutante ball. And it said, now this is what I really like. Your aunt, it says the neighbors were sitting on the porch and people were coming out their house because you went to the debutante ball and your aunt had rented a shiny black limousine and it pulled up to the grassless, dilapidated home on Florida Avenue. And you descended the stairs in your rented white gown, and the chauffeur helped you into the limo before the car rolled majestically out of sight. Now, I'm sure you probably was the first one in that whole block that rode in the limousine. How did that feel? You're like Weezy Jefferson, step over. How you have worked to do that?
Um, it was a great feeling. There are two interesting things I can say about that. One, I didn't sign up to be a debutante. One of the girls in my class was going to be a debutante, So she asked me to be a sub deb. And so I said, sure. So I went to the meeting, um, rehearsal, whatever it is, with her. And the people who were coordinating it asked how old I was. And, I told them, I guess I was about 17. And they said, well, you should be a debutante. And I said, well, I can't be a debutante. I can't afford that. And they said, well, we'll help you. And, we'll give you whatever, you'll sell things and do whatever you can. We'll have talent shows. So that's how I became a debutante. Now, when you said as an entrepreneur, that started long, long ago.
Okay.
My roads all lead back to the church. We used to always sell things, and my sisters to this day, well, maybe not to this day, but at least one will, tell you how we were selling pencils at this particular time. And I had my speech. I walked up to the door. My sisters would walk with me, or
Mm-hmm.
at least one would walk with me. I knocked on the door, and a very old lady with straggly white hairs, maybe something like mine, opened the door, and she was hard of hearing. So she said, oh.
Okay, go ahead. Be
And
dramatical.
it startled me. So I backed up and repeated myself. And she repeated herself in the same way. I backed up again, and she came closer saying the same thing. So finally, she understood that I was selling pencils.
Oh,
And she
okay.
said, oh, no, not today. I got too many pencils around here already. And I say, yes, ma'am, as I'm running away, yes, ma'am, I understand I got too many pencils too. So that was
Oh.
near the beginning of my entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. So now this part made me kind of wonder because you said you had siblings, and I don't know where you all are as far as how close you all are, but you were on your way home one day from kindergarten, and you kind of got lost, and you had some scriptures, and I won't repeat the scriptures, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share your bio, as that the nice construction man gave you a ride home, and he gave you a banana, and you were eating the banana, and you got home, you're like, mommy, mother, hey. And she said, where'd you get the banana from? And you said, from the man. What man? And you said she scolded you. So what happened? How did you end up by yourself if you had siblings? And then God certainly was with you with that banana. And how did your mother scold you?
um, my, well, I'm the seventh of 11. And my mother, my second older sister was supposed to bring me home because kindergarten was a half day. So she was supposed to bring me home. But this particular day, I think she had arranged with the sister just over me, 3 years older, to bring me home. Well, she brought me to where she thought I knew the rest of the way home. And I don't know, maybe I said I know the rest of the way home. I don't know, but she didn't take me all the way home. So as I was going home, nothing looked familiar. And I felt that I was lost. I started crying. These construction workers were working in the street, and one of them asked me, little girl, what's the matter? And I told him I was lost and I couldn't find my way home. He said, where do you live? I told him where I live. So he said, come on, I'll take you home. He put me in the truck and gave me a banana, and I ate the banana. So I was finishing up when I got home and got to the house, and mother came to the door and she said, "Where'd you get that banana?" And I told her the nice man in the truck gave it to me. She said, "What truck? What man?" And I told her, and she she called me a fool. She said, "Fool, don't you know you don't get in no truck with no man? Don't you know you don't walk with no strangers?" And she just scolded me
Because you
dearly.
didn't know. But that was a mother's love. That was a mother's concern. That was
Yes,
that,
it
that was a
was.
mother's concern.
It
Because
was.
again, you thought you knew your way home. So, and see, I have to go back for the audience. I have to go back to your history to bring you up to where we're going to be now, where we're going to be in a few minutes. But in junior high school, you wanted to go to the school in your zone, but others said that you weren't going to go to school in your zone because they wanted you to be on a special program. As a matter of fact, they wanted you to apply to be in the pre-engineering program. And
Well,
since a mhm.
actually, it wasn't um, to go to be in the pre engineering program. This teacher was adamant. Adamant, and her name, it escapes me. It's a B, but anyway, she was adamant that she didn't want me to go to the school in my neighborhood because it, it wasn't the best. Let's say it that way, and all kinds of students and behaviors fed into the school. So she definitely didn't want me to go to that school. But there was another school that was not in my zone that had special programs, and the special programs accepted students from wherever as long as you had the talent to fit into one of the programs. I always had good math scores, outstanding math scores. And so she said, "Well, they have an engineering program. The There was a music program. There was no way I was going to get in that. There was a uh, science program with a focus on medicine. I didn't like blood. And there was the pre engineering program, which was a lot of math. And so, that was fine with me. So that's how I ended up going to that school and getting into that program.
Wow, excellent. So now I need to jump up just a little bit because we got so much more to cover in a short time. You were recommended as you went to college. I think it said you always loved children, you love learning and imparting knowledge to others, but several of your college professors were adamant, big word, that you should major in Spanish and secondary education. Why was that? What made them say Spanish instead of French or Italian or something?
Well, I was very good in Spanish, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. My thing was going back to my child. I told you before, I just wanted to be a teacher. That was my goal. I didn't have a lot of role models in my personal life
Mm-hmm.
to make a decision about this or that or anything about ladders and levels and socioeconomic status. I just knew that I wanted to be a teacher. And there were always babies and children around. And, my family to this day loves babies and children. So that was natural for me. But they felt that I had much more talent than was needed at, although that's a very important level,
Mm-hmm.
very important, because that's foundational, and foundation is very important. But they felt that I had more to offer and that I should go um, for higher education somewhere along in there.
Oh, good, very good, because that segues right into my next thing. Folks, this is DJ Straight coming to you live from Praise from the Closet. And our special guest today is Vivian Saulters. Again, hit us up on YouTube, DJ Straight channel, and you can also go to our website, WGMLB. I'll do my own commercials until I can hire some staff. Okay, so now you studied abroad in Spain for a summer, and so I want you to tell us a little bit about that experience. But then the other part is that you were able to have enough money up until your last 2 weeks. And when I read that story about the hotel, so tell us how you got to Spain, what did you do, how you liked it, and then how did you overcome those last 2 weeks?
I got to Spain through my undergraduate school. There was a program, a summer study program, study abroad, and my teachers encouraged me to apply for it. It was sponsored by Catholic University in Washington, D.C. So I applied for it. I got the scholarship. Of course, we didn't have money,
Mm-hmm.
but people contributed. You know, my family contributed whatever they could, and the church contributed. And one lady from the church had a new set of luggage that she had bought for a trip, and she offered me the luggage. So I got to Spain. It was Valencia, Spain in 1969.
Wow. Okay.
And the scholarship paid for the tuition and room and board, but anything else was on my own. So the money that my family had given me, I used for, you know, going out after school or
Mm-hmm.
buying souvenirs or something like that. But I didn't keep very good track. And I didn't know what those last 2 weeks were going to cost. Anyway, I ran out of money. And I, the last 2 weeks were not paid for room and board.
Mm-hmm.
There was a tour traveling through southern Spain and other parts. And but I didn't have the money for that. So the teachers arranged for the bus driver to let me on the bus because there was an extra seat. And my classmates or friends said I could stay in the room with them. Well, of course, I was the only one who looked like me.
Mm-hmm.
So, so one of the attendants at the hotel asked me to go to the desk, and I went to the desk, and I confessed I wasn't paying. I was a guest in the room of a guest, and he said, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "But I don't have any money." And he said, "Well, I'll make a room for you." So there was this little tiny room, but it was a room.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a bed and a closet in it, but it was more like a closet itself. So he said, "You can stay here." So I stayed there. And that was the only bump I had the rest of the trip.
Yeah, but see, even in that, the man gave you favor at a four-star hotel, gave you your own room, and I'm sure they didn't let you go hungry.
Oh no, no, no. I
So
was a regular guest after that.
he
God gave me favor. He
gave
was
you favor,
always with
absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. So now you're back in the States and you attended the University of New Hampshire. And instead of doing 2 years, you did 1 year because some of your former teachers wanted you to come back to your alma mater and teach there. And then you went to Ohio. So, how did that feel that some of your former teachers said, hey, we need you back here? And then tell us about some of your schooling because I want to work my way up to where you retired from because that's some great information. Tell us about your schooling, Columbus, New Hampshire, and some of the. Oh, and you were a professor at Howard University.
No,
Hey, I keep saying Professor Howard University. So let me have my HU Miss Saulters HU. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
okay. I've never been a professor. To be a
Okay.
professor, you have to have a
Oh, that's
doctorate.
right.
I'm an ABD, all but the dissertation.
Oh, okay.
Um, my my undergraduate mentor. How the, no, when I got my master's, and that's the story too, because that's the first time I became aware of prejudice. Even
Uh-oh, that's another
though
story.
I
We're gonna
had
come back and talk about that. We're gonna give you a whole hour for that one. No, I'm
okay,
serious.
okay,
Yeah.
that was, but that was the first time. Even though I'm sure it was around me, um, God's favor just protected me, and I wasn't aware of it personally. I wasn't personally aware of it in terms of any of the people around me, my friends, or I wasn't aware of it until graduate school. But after I got, and which is why I did the program in 1 year instead of the 2 years.
Okay.
Um, when I came home, I went to teach at um, my alma mater, my high school. And after I think 1 year teaching there, my undergraduate mentor, my chief mentor, she was the chairman of the department, um, was at Howard. No, was she? No, she was at DC Teachers, my undergraduate um, alma mater. And so she wanted me to leave the high school and come to teach at DC Teachers. So I did that. And she said, but it's only for a year. And so, anyway, I did it. I did it on faith. And I went to Howard. There was a position at Howard. So I went to teach at
Professor. Okay, go ahead.
Howard. So I went to teach at Howard. And then my undergraduate mentor had a contact at Ohio State. And she told me about this scholarship program at Ohio State. And she said, you need to apply. You need to apply. You need to get your doctorate. So I applied. I got the scholarship. And I completed the coursework. And then she called me to come back. She said, we need you to come back and teach. I said, but I haven't finished my program. I have another year. And she said, oh, you're smart. You can come home, study, go back and take your exams and then write your dissertation. You'll be fine. You can handle
Okay.
it. You can do it. So I did. I left the university. I studied while I was home in teaching, and all that goes, there's a lot that goes into teaching.
Right.
And I went back. and I took my exams. I took my minor exams, I think, before I left, and then
Mm-hmm.
went back for the major. But by the time I got ready to do the dissertation, my lead mentor had left, which meant I would have essentially had to start over in terms of writing the dissertation. So I never did. I never finished. I didn't want to start over.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite parts. I'm gonna put my hat back on. Hold on, and you can let me know if I have it on right or wrong. Okay, here's the tag. So look at here. So we're going all the way up here, and then I read that you got married and you had an infant and you had another infant while you were carrying one. You held one in your arms like this, and so you stayed home until they were of age. But then you want to go back to work, but you didn't go back to teaching. So at the 18 months, you found yourself that you were transferred, and let me swallow because this is a long word, and you transferred to the National Cryptologic School in a teaching position. Now, I don't know if Superman was there, but what does that mean?
Uh, what does it mean that I went to the National Cryptologic
Yeah,
School?
what is the National Cryptologic School?
That is a school under the aegis of the Department of Defense, but it's separate
Mm-hmm.
from the Department of Defense schools are basically for military. Um, the National Cryptologic School, and we can say NCS,
Okay.
is for civilians and military. We teach civilians and military, but we are more targeted. The military basically teaches you to get along in country so that I'm getting into CIA, but
Whoa, don't have nobody knocking on my door.
basically, um, military.
Okay.
But the National Cryptologic School is civilian and military, and it's more on the political side, you might say. I'll
Okay.
tell you, when you read articles, you probably read some of my work. When you read articles from the Washington Post or the New York Times or um, Financial Times, those types of newspapers about foreign business or
Mm-hmm.
foreign politics or the interaction of US and foreign politics. That probably has, those people have probably been trained or by and large trained at the National Cryptologic School. We things are much more open now than they were when I started working there. But mainly the interpretation of signals intelligence. It's a part of the intelligence agency.
Okay. So, okay, I put my hat on for a reason because I have to do a drum roll again. Da-da! Because this next part I'm going to read is such an honor. That's why I put my hat on. You have taught at 5 institutions of higher learning, including the National Cryptologic School. You were named the Teacher of the Year at 3 of these institutions. The last title was bestowed by the NCS School, where you were evaluated against all NCS instructors worldwide. Worldwide. And from every discipline. your name is forever engraved on a plaque that hangs in the school's main quarter. That is very, very important, and what a great accomplishment. Now, I have you down as a retired National Security Agency, a senior language research analyst. We didn't even get into that part, but the reason that I said, and I want to get dressed up today, and we're going to talk about that for a few more minutes, is that you came from a situation unknown, and you never let anything stop you from playing with your doll babies to your older siblings telling you to beat it because they were doing their homework. You started school, and then your aunt said take that little 4-line poem back to the folks and tell them give you something real. You taught, you went abroad, and even in Spain you didn't know anybody else, you didn't have a place, but you stayed. God made a way there, and then you came back and you taught your alma mater a couple of times. That your instructor said, or people that had influence said, no, I want you to come back and do this. You talked about being a genius. Well, you're a former pastor giving you calling you genius and things of that nature. So I wanted to interview you because you have such a great story, like many other people, and you never let those things stop you. So I want you, one, to give encouragement to people who may just think about, oh, I can't be this or I can't be that. And before you do that, let's talk about what a senior language research analyst is. And I'm going to take this hat back off because it's sliding again.
A senior a language research analyst is a linguist, really. It's a person who works with a foreign language, and either translating or transcribing, translating.
Time out. How many languages do you speak, ma'am?
Does that include Pig Latin?
Yes, because that's a language that I've never learned before.
No, no. I only speak Spanish and Portuguese. I can probably brush off my French,
Mhm.
and I can communicate, on a conversational level in French. I had German for reading knowledge. German was a requirement for the PhD. So
Four.
I had German for reading knowledge, but I don't speak German. I know a couple of phrases in German,
Then you
but
can
I
speak.
haven't done anything with German since grad school, really, since I was working on my doctorate. And
And French.
can I tell you a little story about German?
Sure. And Arabic. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't know Arabic. I took a course,
Ma'am, somebody put that up in the comments, but go ahead and share your story.
No, yeah, no, I don't really know Arabic. No, I don't know Arabic at all. Um, Last week, my daughter took. I was with my daughter last week, one of my daughters, and she said, "Mommy, you know why I took German?" And I said, "No, I thought you just liked it." She said, "Because I knew that was a language that you didn't know, so I didn't have to worry about you going over my homework and making me redo my homework."
What a crazy daughter. What a crazy daughter. Right. That's cute.
She said, I knew you wouldn't come up to the school and tell the teacher she was wrong, so that's why I took
Oh, that is
German.
funny. After this, you can tell me which daughter that was. I'm gonna blast them. But that was cute. That was cute. But to be a senior language research analyst means that you had to know more than the students or the people that you were training because you know as I talked to you before, and this viewer here just writes a whole paragraph. Here's this thing. But I know that at one time when I talked to you, that you said that you could go in any country that you wanted to because you could use that as a training experience so you could learn the culture and learn the language. And I thought that that was, and if I'm wrong, don't correct me now because I want to keep that story, you know. But I thought that was great. I thought that was a great thing because that's just an unusual, path that people have. So go ahead and blast me.
No, no, you're actually right. I forgot what you said.
Oh, I was okay. Go ahead, make it up, make it up.
No, no. I should have interrupted you because my memory sometimes gets short. But
Oh, you corrected
a
me. Thank you.
senior language, I was telling you about language research analysts. They work with whatever the language is. Mine was Spanish and Portuguese. Um, to be a senior, there are stages you have to go through. You have to go through several tests to get to the next level. And there are two tracks. There's what we call the graphic track. The graphic track is going from the target language, the foreign language, into English. And you have to get to a level 3. A level 3 is the level, I'll say the beginning level of literature. It's where you use your um, personal opinions, interpretations. It's not just, it's above the factual level, not just talking about facts. And it goes up to level 5. So you have to prove that you're at least a level 3 plus 4 in order to get that title senior in that track. And
Mm-hmm.
the same thing is true for the voice track. The voice track is transcription. With transcription, you hear the language and you have to reproduce it. Now, it's interesting. I never fathomed that I would be transcribing a foreign language into that language, you know. Um, but when I started working at the agency for the NCS, and I was given charge of, well, I was tasked with creating the Portuguese curriculum because there was none. Um, I, I prayed about it. I said, well, I told them, I said, I don't know anything about transcription. I've never transcribed.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, you can do it, work on it. So I always loved poetry. I went to Paul Laurence Dunbar
Okay.
and I learned at a very early age his poem, In the Morning, Lies, Lies, Bless the Lord, Don't You Know the Days Abroad? And those kinds of dialectal poetry. I knew what the poems were saying, but I went, and that's why I went back. You go from the familiar to the unknown.
Unfamiliar.
And I'm thinking, well, how do we get from this? How do we get to here? And so I studied that poem and poems like it to see what was happening with the language. Where were words cut off? Where were words joined together? When they were joined together, how were they joined together? And so then I applied it to Portuguese. I started listening to the Portuguese.
Okay.
And I knew the general idea of what it was supposed to be. And then I would think, well, what belongs in there? So, how do we bridge that gap? So, I taught myself to transcribe by going back to English dialectal poetry.
Now you just said a mouthful there. I can't even repeat that. But let me tell you something. This has been a great interview. And Surely as you have spoken. You must have two daughters. You have two daughters.
Well, actually, I had three.
You have three, but only two have spoken. The guilty one is saying, "Yep, that's why exactly why I took German." So that one spoke up. There's a comment, and then you have another person. I guess this is your daughter said. Basically, you came and you taught their Spanish class. So that's interesting. But really, and I did not know. See how the law works. This is today is the U.S. International Women's Day, which I didn't know. So great on time. And I want you, and thank you everybody for coming on. I want you to check your schedule because within the next couple of weeks, I want to bring you back on because I want to talk about the racism that you experienced as a when you went to study your master's. Because honestly, when I read the story about you in Spain, I was going to ask if that was racism, but it wasn't. It was just, I guess, him minding your business and doing his job. But can you talk a little bit about just being positive and fighting your way and encouragement as you came up? Just encourage somebody today about anything.
Yeah, there's actually something that's been on my mind.
Speak it. That's why this is called open mic. Speak it. Speak it.
Um, I learned that I had discouraged, or maybe discouraged is not the word, but I had given one of my nieces pause because she had an idea of a fashion and she asked me about it. Context is so important. And context is important. You know, it's important when you study the Bible. It's important when you are reading something. It's important when you're talking to someone and the things that they say. So I was coming from one perspective when she shared her vision of fashion, and I discouraged her. And I never knew it until maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, I don't know. And I apologized. And I told her that within a year or 2 years later, no, it might have been more than that. Maybe it was 5. I don't know. But I purchased a dress just like the dress that she had described to me earlier, and I discouraged her about. Today, I was going through my closet and I found a jean skirt that was also on that same line of her fashion. Now, I don't know how old she was. She must have been junior high, maybe high school, probably junior high. I don't know. But when you cannot always listen to what other people say
Absolutely.
because they aren't where you are. And discussion is good. Um, so it might be a good idea to discuss and to help someone see where you're coming from. One of my daughters said to me, this bio that you read was from a Bible study class. We were
Mhm.
given the assignment to write a bio. Well, I didn't want just my name is, I was born, So that's the reason I did a different kind of format and tried to make it tie in with the assignment, but also with life. Um, so one of my daughters said to me, after I let her read it, um, Mommy, you always did what other people told you you should do. I do what I want to do.
All right, now let's high five.
And
Okay.
I told her, yeah, I said, that's good. I said, but sometimes other people have been where you have to go. So sometimes it's good to listen and at least take in what other people have to say and weigh what you think against what they have to say, and then pick your road. Keep God in the picture, He'll lead you.
You know, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful interview. And so listen here, folks. This is DJ Straight coming to you live from Praise in the Closet. And this has been a wonderful interview. And so now I do want to share that bio, if that's okay with you. So if anybody would like to read it, now I cut out quite a bit of things on that bio because there were scriptures that would back up everything that I said. And I enjoy reading it. As I say, all the guests that I have on and future guests, and perhaps you all listening out there, you guys can come on too. We have plenty of shows for you. But I would like, you can email me. Let me put it on across. You guys know that okay, we got some more comments. I always want people to know that I'm very appreciative of them watching and mindful of their comments. So let's go back to the last comment that I'm on. Okay, here's one that says, let's see, outstanding interview. Here's another one that says, excellent interview. Now, I'm not going to ask you today what's the difference between excellent and outstanding. We don't have time for that one. Great job, mommy. I guess that's one of your daughters that said mommy out of your three. And here's one. Aunt Vivian is the GOAT. Okay, whatever the GOAT is, greatest of all time too. But this has been very good. And I definitely want you to come back on when you can within a couple of weeks if that fits your schedule, because you have something else to offer and other people that are listening. Now, I will be honest, I enjoyed reading your bio. And again, if you want me to email it with your permission, email gospelmusicloversbuffet@gmail.com. And I got to plug it again. Go to our website, WGMLB, and listen to the great music that we have on right now is preaching on. And here's another comment right here. So let me take off the GOAT. And you all know with Praise from the Closet, we don't have rules. We like to have fun. What is the GOAT? Somebody said, here's the question. What is a GOAT? Here's the answer. Greatest of all times. She was the GOAT at the cryptologic place. She was the GOAT in the Spanish. She was the GOAT with the ruffles. And she was the GOAT of Florida Avenue because she had a limousine. And I can guarantee you that was probably the first limousine on Florida Avenue unless it was a funeral. But anyway, listen, we have some more great shows coming up tonight at 7 p.m. We have Nutrition Nuggets with Viola. And today she's going to talk about behavior change. And then on Saturday at 12 o'clock, we have story time. 3 children are going to read their favorite stories. Anybody that has a child, or if you're an adult and you like to read children's stories, something to share, hit me up again at gospelmusicloversbuffet@gmail.com, or you can call 202-322-2470, or you can leave me a voicemail and reach out to us. And then at 6 p.m. on Saturday, 6 p.m. this Saturday, we have something called Courageous Women from the DC Metropolitan Police Department. They have a lawsuit against DC for $100 million. And I had an interview with one of the attorneys representing them before another person. But on Saturday, I'm told that we're going to have quite a few of them at 6 o'clock, and I will put the flyer out. And then Sunday at 6 p.m., that new show that we have called My Siblings and Me. Well, you guys are going to be in for a treat because the bookers are going to be on, but these are the senior booker. These are all the bookers over 70. So you don't know what's going to come out because they are very funny. They mean what they say and say what they mean. So that's going to be on Sunday at 6 o'clock. And Mrs. Saulters, we have more comments. It says, I see the bio as a documentary. Somebody is speaking it prophetically. Go for it. But it'll be longer than what I had. Mine, I think I made 11 pages because I had to make the font bigger. Here's another one. Documentary. Wendy, get on it. Okay. Obviously, you know these people that are talking. Okay. Wendy Saulters says noted. And here's one that says, yes, Wendy. So again, in all seriousness, I better put these tissues back so when you come back next week, I'm a deal with you, and you know I don't like to waste. But anyway, this has been a great interview, and I thank you for coming and visiting with us today at Praise from the Closet. Guys, this is DJ Straight signing off. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have some great shows coming up. I'm working on that middle child show. I'm working on it. Hopefully it's going to be in April. And I already have those that signed up for the middle child. You covered. I'm just working on something else. But we have some great shows coming up. Y'all know we like to have fun. Most of all, we're going to present Jesus in an untraditional way because it's really all of this is about his love and his salvation to everybody. Go on our website, wgflb.com, hit listen live, and you'll hear some music. So, do you have any parting words that you would like to say before we end this broadcast? I'm getting ready to sneeze.
Well, I'd just like to thank you, first of all, DJ Straight, for allowing me the opportunity. And I'd like to thank all the viewers, and I appreciate all your comments. And I think probably most of you know me. And you know I'm going to cry. So thank you.
No, because I just put the tissues back up. You got to wait for the next time. Because you got to don't cry yet. I'm going to put it back down to the side. Don't make me take them out again. But seriously, this has been great. Check us out. We'll be back on at 7 o'clock tonight for Nutrition Nuggets. And again, this is Vivian Saulters. Thank you very much. You want that bio, please email Gospel Music Lovers Buffet, and you will have it because there were pictures on that bio. There were scriptures on there, and that's why I keep saying she took her time in doing this and backed it up with scriptures. I just didn't reach it. Now, if she wants to come back on and read or preach, I give her space. Those that are listening, you guys are welcome to come on. DJ Straight signing off. Stay on right quick so you can see our exit slide.